everyone, it's time for another episode of the Anti-Pharmacist podcast. Yes, so what have I prepared for you today? You can guess. Well, I have a question to ask you. What is the world's most widely used medicine? You can guess. Let me know in the comments if you got it right. If you got it right, you have a chance to ask me anything concerning any medication of your choice via DM and I will answer you. Can we do that? Alright. So I'll give you a few minutes to think about it and answer in the comments. Okay, let's see who got it right. The world's most widely used medication is acetaminophen. That may sound strange to you, right? Well, you know it as paracetamol, and that's the truth of the matter. I said this not as a result of any statistics, okay? Because if statistics were to be taken per country, it may differ. But I'm saying it based on general knowledge and based on popularity, okay? So you might provide another drug based on statistics, but I'm just talking about general knowledge and the rate of use worldwide, okay? So don't quote me anywhere. That's just what I'm saying. Paracetamol is known by both young and old. It is sold over the counter. Even in this part of the world where I'm talking to you from Nigeria, some mothers, once they give birth like this, they have something they call medicine box or ajoba. Paracetamol must be there for their child because, well, fever is very common. Even in your first aid box, paracetamol will definitely be there because not just for fever, for pain as well, for headache. And headache could happen due to different things, from stress to hunger to trauma, from injuries, So paracetamol is the world's most widely used medication, and that's what I'm talking about today. Well, it's another drug discovery series. So let me tell you the story of how paracetamol, this beloved medication of ours, came to be, shall we? Let's get right into it. So you would wonder, this medication that I've been using, how did it come to be? Well, it would interest you to know that it was discovered by accident, just like penicillin that I told you about, right? If you remember. Well, if you haven't listened to that episode, go ahead and listen to it. Drug Discovery Series. I talked about penicillin on that episode. So today, it's about paracetamol. It was discovered by accident, and it was even due to a dispensing error, which I'm not proud of. Thank God that it led to a discovery. If it had become something else, especially in this day and age, it would have led to somebody losing their license, litigations, and all of that. But thank God it didn't lead to death, but rather the discovery of this beautiful, wonderful medication. Yes, so the story goes thus. Back in 1884, two young German physicians, Arnold Kahn and Paul Ehrlich, made this serendipitous discovery when they were treating a patient that was infested with worms and running a fever. So their major aim was to treat that worm infestation, and on the advice of their mentor, Professor Adolf Kosmol, the two doctors tried administering naphthalene because they believed at that time that it was effective against worms. But then they bought this naphthalene from a pharmacy because back then pharmacies did not just sell and dispense medications, they also sold chemicals. All right, they even made extemporaneous preparations when required, mixing chemicals together to make a product that would be used immediately. They had those chemicals on their shelves as well for sale. They went to the pharmacy and bought naphthalene, but they now realized that the naphthalene didn't work now. It did nothing for the worms, but it reduced the patient's fever, and they didn't know naphthalene to do that, right? So they became curious. They didn't even know the difference due to the similarity in the physical properties of this naphthalene to the chemical which they bought. They wondered whether the naphthalene they purchased may have contained some other substance as well. They tracked down the source and they discovered that the pharmacy had made a mistake and given them acetanilide instead of naphthalene. And They now concluded that this acetanilide might be useful as a fever reducer. As luck would have it, Epp's brother worked as a chemist at Kell pharmaceutical firm, which was willing to investigate this compound, and upon investigation they found out that it indeed reduced fever. So they put acetanilide as a chemical on the market as antifebrin.
See what they did with the name there, right? Antifebrin. That is against fever, because when somebody has fever, they are said to be febrile. So the name antifebrin.
But unfortunately, it wasn't long before problems cropped up. Users of this antifebrin began to complain of bluish skin, which is a sign of methemoglobinemia, a condition in which oxygen transport by hemoglobin is impaired. This precipitated a search for safer alternatives. So they started to make alterations to the molecular structure of the compound, hoping to eliminate the side effects and maintain the therapeutic potential, what we call today structural activity relationships. That is what pharmaceutical chemists do.
They do this by studying the structure of the compound, move around some molecules from one place to the other, okay, to see if this can actually affect their activities,
to get rid of some side effects, enhance therapeutic effect, right? So in 1887, the German company Bayer modified acetanilide to produce phenacetin. It didn't cause methemoglobinemia,
or so they thought.
And that same year, a physician called Joseph von Mering tried another derivative of acetanilide that had been synthesized by Edmund Moss, a chemist at Johns Hopkins University. This was acetaminophen, and it worked well as a pain reliever and fever reducer. But von Mering claimed that unlike phenacetin, it had potential to produce methemoglobinemia. For this reason, acetaminophen languished on the laboratory shelves until 1947, when researchers discovered that both acetanilide and phenacetin were actually converted to acetaminophen in the body.
They later found out that they had accused paracetamol wrongly. The fault was actually with phenacetin, which was causing the methemoglobinemia. But paracetamol didn't come with this side effect, but it was abandoned because of this reason at first.
And acetaminophen was the actual active ingredient, because they realized that people that used phenacetin and acetanilide actually excreted acetaminophen through their urine. Von Mering also discovered that he had been wrong, because even large doses of acetaminophen did not cause methemoglobinemia in rats. In the meantime, phenacetin had been linked with kidney problems, and its competitor back then, aspirin, was linked with stomach irritation and Reye syndrome, a rare children's disease. This set the stage for promotion of acetaminophen as a safer drug and led to its mass marketing as Tylenol in 1955. Acetaminophen turned out to be a popular pain reliever and fever reducer, safe when taken in proper dose, which for an adult is a maximum of 6 500 mg pills a day. Exceeding this dose can lead to serious problems due to a metabolite of the drug being toxic to the liver. Today, the global annual acetaminophen market is an astounding $9.5 billion, fueled by the heavy promotion that emphasizes the lack of gastrointestinal side effects associated with aspirin and other non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs.
You may wonder how the name paracetamol came about. It is actually used interchangeably with acetaminophen. They both came from the names of the chemicals in the compound, which is N-acetyl para-aminophenol, paracetamol for short, or acetaminophen, whichever one, okay? The paracetamol is easier to remember and to pronounce for most people. That's why it has become popular to call it paracetamol. Then there is one more fun fact. Did you know that up to date, the mechanism of action of paracetamol has not been established? There are many theories, okay, about how it works, but there is actually no definite one. And it is found to cross the blood-brain barrier, which is why it is used for headache. So it doesn't just work in the periphery on your body, it also works in the brain, in the head. How wonderful is that?
While there's concern about liver toxicity, as long as it is taken within the normal daily dose, you're fine, alright? Bear in mind that no drug should be abused or misused. Do not use medications unless you absolutely need it. But paracetamol is still one of the safest medications around till date.
While history credits Amonotropos as the first person to synthesize paracetamol in 1877, I've mentioned other scientists on this episode that actually contributed to paracetamol coming into being. And take away from this episode that it wasn't until over a century of its synthesis that paracetamol became widely accepted for its properties. Since 1877 till 1940s, you calculate that. So keep that in mind. Nothing is wasted actually. If you look closely enough and take your time to modify it in some way, you find out that it's actually not a waste and it might actually be useful more than you even imagine. Alright, you might have that idea which is not accepted right now. Do not give up on it. It might just be the next best thing later. You know, I always like to draw lessons from history of these medications that I tell you, because there's actually always something to learn apart from the scientific aspect of it. And that is it on today's episode of the podcast. I hope you take this with you into the weekend and enjoy yourself with your family. Do not forget to share, to like, to subscribe to the podcast on the various social media channels. You can always DM me or send me email via antipharmacistpodcast@gmail.com. As usual, thank you so much for listening up to this point. Till next time, stay healthy and God bless you. Bye.